Hey there, pirates. Welcome aboard the Anime No Mi channel. Zoro is going to inherit Mihawk's Yoru. Yes, you read that right. The swordsman who challenges mountains and cuts with the precision of a razor-sharp blade will finally reach the legacy of the world's greatest swordsman, Mihawk. And before you think this is just fantasy, let's examine the path that leads Zoro to take Mihawk's legendary black sword, and how the relationship between these two swordsmen goes beyond a simple master and student dynamic. We're talking about an epic succession, where an icon passes the torch to someone who could be his greatest successor. I hope for your support to help our crew win, and to do so, you just need to click the thumbs up button, leave a like, and subscribe to the channel. By doing this, you will win an incredible devil fruit, so just comment which fruit you want. It all starts at the Baratie, where Zoro, still a novice in the world of swords, challenges Mihawk the Black Hawk with his piercing eyes and his sword, Yoru, one of the 12 strongest blades in the world. In this encounter, the outcome is clear. Zoro is defeated humiliatingly, but Mihawk, in a gesture that leaves fans curious, spares his life. Why? Because he sees something most people don't: potential. Mihawk recognizes in Zoro a spark that reminds him of his own youth, the stubbornness, determination, and relentless pursuit of strength. In this duel, in Chapter 51, Mihawk, with a single swing of his Yoru, easily destroys Krieg's ship, making the power gap between him and Zoro undeniable. But instead of killing the aspiring swordsman, he says, "Come back when you are worthy." And here is where the great secret of their relationship begins to reveal itself. Mihawk didn't just see an opponent in Zoro, he saw a successor. In Chapter 52, Mihawk, speaking with Luffy, reveals even more about his fascination with Zoro. "Your companion is strong-willed. I spared him to see how far he would go." The Black Hawk, solitary and with an ego fed by countless victories, starts to wonder if Zoro might be the only one worthy of succeeding him. And more importantly, if Zoro has what it takes to master the power of Yoru, a sword that is not just a blade, but a cursed, powerful relic capable of cutting through anything with ease. The theory of Zoro inheriting Yoru isn't just a fan wish. It makes sense within the narrative Oda has built, and this becomes even stronger during the post-time skip. In Chapter 597, we see Mihawk take Zoro to Kurigana Island, where he begins to train him rigorously. This training is not casual. It's strategic mentorship, where Mihawk invests in Zoro, knowing that the boy is not just a student, but the heir to his own legacy. Zoro, who until then had used his Santoryu technique with a primitive precision, begins to evolve under Mihawk's watchful eyes. In moments like Chapter 672, where he uses armament hockey against Monet, it becomes clear that the Black Hawk's lessons are not only about sword handling, but about mastering even greater powers. Zoro begins to become more than just a swordsman. He starts to approach the legendary level that Mihawk has reached, and that is exactly what Mihawk desires. Someone to inherit his status, to bear the weight of a sword like Yoru, and perhaps even surpass him. What makes this story even more fascinating is that Zoro and Mihawk share many similarities. Both are solitary, obsessively focused on strength and becoming the best. Mihawk, who has already reached the top, no longer feels excitement in battles, except when he finds someone worthy of testing his skills. Zoro, on the other hand, is in constant evolution, always seeking to surpass his own limits. When Zoro begins to master more complex techniques, such as Conqueror's Haki, seen in Chapter 1033 during his fight against King, the connection between him and Mihawk becomes even clearer. Zoro is not just learning from Mihawk, he is beginning to become Mihawk. And this is the crucial point. Mihawk doesn't just want Zoro to inherit his sword. He wants to see Zoro surpass his own limits, become stronger, and finally acquire the power that can turn a swordsman into a legend. And Yoru, as a testament to this power, may be the key to that transformation. The theory that emerges from Zoro's journey is that when he finally becomes the ultimate swordsman, Mihawk will somehow pass Yoru to him, recognizing Zoro not just as his student, but as his legitimate successor. In an epic battle, likely in some future chapter, Zoro could be tested one last time by Mihawk, and the winner of that fight may earn the right to wield Yoru. For Mihawk, this would represent more than a simple transfer of power. It would be the passing of a legacy from one solitary swordsman to another. And what can we expect for the future of this relationship? For Zoro, the clues are already scattered throughout the story. Since the start of his journey as a swordsman, his evolution has been constant, and he has already overcome many obstacles that even Mihawk didn't face. In moments like the fight against Pika and Dressrosa, and his recent battle in Wano, where he uses supreme Haki techniques, Zoro is no longer the novice who challenged Mihawk at the Baratie. He is a mature swordsman, capable of facing the greatest challenges in the world. However, Zoro's training with Mihawk is at the heart of the theory, and this becomes even clearer when we observe how he continues to learn from the Black Hawk. Mihawk, who has always been driven by the search for a worthy opponent, sees in Zoro not only someone who could become his successor, but someone he himself wants to challenge. And perhaps one day he will have to say goodbye to his sword, passing it to Zoro not as a mere act of inheritance, but as a true succession. As Zoro evolves, he begins to mirror Mihawk's own journey, but with a different drive. While Mihawk rose to the top of the mountain unchallenged, Zoro reached his peak through constant struggle, always seeking something greater. He is not a swordsman who merely inherits a name or skills. He earns the respect and strength necessary to surpass his own limits. This crucial difference in each of their paths is what makes their relationship so special. Mihawk, who lived with a void of challenges, begins to see in Zoro the opportunity to fill that void, observing in his disciple the same spark that once drove him. Zoro's training is not just a technical process, it's a forging of the spirit, as we've seen on Kurigana Island. Mihawk doesn't just teach him how to use swords, he teaches him what it takes to master a power like Yoru, which demands far more than physical strength. Zoro must learn to subdue his ego, as Mihawk did in his youth, and not let arrogance consume him. At the same time, Mihawk watches Zoro with a critical eye, but also with a certain admiration that goes beyond the typical master-student dynamic. At key moments in Zoro's journey, such as in Wano, where he uses Conqueror's Haki to cut one of the most powerful opponents, Mihawk likely sees a reflection of himself from the past. Zoro is not merely imitating Mihawk's style, he is shaping his own more fluid, more dynamic, and that is what will make his mastery of Yoru possible. The sword, which initially seemed too heavy for anyone but the Black Hawk himself, will begin to feel lighter in Zoro's hands because he will have achieved the necessary balance of strength, skill, and spirit. One of the most fascinating aspects of their relationship is the challenge dynamic that has always existed between them. Zoro has never been someone to accept defeat as final. Every failure, every loss, every stumble is a lesson that brings him closer to his goal, to become the greatest swordsman in the world. And Mihawk, in turn, has always tested Zoro, pushing him to break through his physical and psychological barriers until he is ready to inherit Yoru not just as a student, but because Zoro will finally be worthy of such power. Today, Mihawk does not see Zoro merely as a student to be trained. He sees a reflection of the path he once traveled, but with the chance to reach something greater. In his solitude at Kurigana Castle, Mihawk has a renewed motivation to pass on his sword, not as a simple inheritance, but as proof that he has found someone worthy of carrying on his legacy, someone he can truly regard as an equal. And this is only possible because Zoro, throughout his journey, does not seek to be merely the best swordsman in the world. He seeks to be the best through continuous effort, through surpassing his own limits. He doesn't want to be Mihawk, he wants to be Zoro, but at the peak of his abilities. Every battle, every challenge Zoro faces is an opportunity to prove he deserves this legacy. The path is not easy, and there are no guarantees of success. Yet Zoro, bound by his oath to Kaina, presses forward with the determination that Yoru, the sword that represents Mihawk's supreme power, will one day be his. Not because anyone chooses him, but because by his own merit, he will have reached the legendary level required to wield it. In the end, Mihawk is neither a villain nor a traditional mentor. He is a man in search of challenge and succession, and Zoro is the only one who proves truly worthy of that challenge. Yoru, like Mihawk himself, represents the pinnacle of swordsmanship, and when Zoro finally takes it in his hands, he will not just be Mihawk's successor. He will be the greatest swordsman in the world. By inheriting Yoru, Zoro will not only become a legendary swordsman, but will embody Mihawk's legacy as a warrior who challenged every limit, overcame every obstacle, and ultimately transcended his master. The journey of Zoro and Mihawk is one of the greatest succession stories in One Piece. It's a story of mentor and disciple, of confrontation and growth, and in the end, it's the story of an indomitable spirit moving forward, carrying not just a legendary sword, but an eternal legacy. And when Zoro finally raises Yoru in his hands, he will no longer be the simple swordsman who once challenged Mihawk. He will be the greatest swordsman in the world, crowned not only by the sword, but by the honor of having earned his place in history. That was today's content. We hope you liked it and want to share your opinion on the subject. Don't forget to share the video, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care and stay amazing.